So the provincial government just dropped a bombshell on us that we weren't really expecting. And instead of only a foreign buyer's tax that only applies to the city like what Vancouver did, this one is province-wide. And they discussed a bunch of other new legislation and rules that they wanted to put in place immediately. In total, there were 16 points that the government wanted to touch upon to help temper or slow down the frenzied real estate market here in Toronto and the GTA. And I didn't really want to do this video because, everybody's talking about it already. It's all over media and social media. All the agents, everybody's talking about it. I didn't really want to participate necessarily, but I thought about my fans, my loyal following and audience of people who want to know what I think about these new changes. So this, my lovelies, is for you. So I hope you stay tuned right after this as I discuss my thoughts and opinions on the changes. See you on the other side. Okay, so there was a lot of points that were being thrown around and discussed in the policy change announcement yesterday from the provincial government. But today I'm really just going to focus on the speculation foreign 15% buyer's tax and how that's going to affect the market overall here in Toronto and the GTA. I mean, if I was going to talk about everything, I'd be here all day. Some of us have to get back to work, guys. But my feelings are, I think the government took the right move. It was really smart and thoughtful. They didn't really want the market to crash and fall apart and really have an instant impact like it did in Vancouver. But at the same time, they're still sending a message that something is going to be done. And I think that that was reiterated throughout the whole announcement yesterday, that they weren't really trying to control the market. They just wanted to slow it down and allow for opportunities for the young and new home buyer segment to actually be able to get in. Now, my thoughts are there may be some small demand that might get shaven off of the top. But like I've always said before, this market here in Toronto is not completely driven by foreign money, as much as some people may think. Strong fundamentals, a demographic shift, and a lot of the investment activity is actually local in nature. And even though the new 15% sounds big and it is province-wide, there are still some loopholes that allow for technically the foreign money to be able to buy. For example, international students. Now, the international students, especially those from mainland China, are a very big buyer of property here in Toronto. But what the government basically said is that if you're legitimately a student here and not just a pure foreign speculator, if you can prove to them that you're a student and you're paying tuition at a local institution, then you can get that tax back. And the same would be for somebody who's got a working permit status here as well, because they're earning local salary and they're paying appropriate taxes. And I gotta tell you, there's a lot of buyers that are actually in that category who are propping up the Toronto market here. Don't you just love how politics works? You get to look like a hero, but still, it's business as usual. There will probably be a delayed effect, and there might be some people that may want to stay away from the market, both foreign and local as well, just to sort of wait it out and see what's going to happen, which is exactly what happened out in Vancouver. But of course, we all know Torontonians are really smart and savvy, and they like watching my show. So they don't get spooked by news like this very easily. And there's really only two ways to look at it. You can look at it as something being very detrimental to the market, causing it to crash, so to speak, and you can hold off, which is totally fine. Or you can see this as a buying opportunity so that if some of this demand does actually shave off, it presents a less competitive buying environment for you. And if you can get a better deal because of it, I say go for it, because in the long run, Toronto is still winning. And what's funny is that when Vancouver got their tax, it seems like a lot of those investors started putting their money into Toronto because it felt cheaper. To me, that explains a lot of the intensity and ferocity in the buying activity in the first quarter of 2017, which is still local money. And even they are betting that Toronto has a strong and bright future ahead of it. And even the introduction of the empty home tax that's going to be applied in Ontario, to be honest, is really going to have a very moot effect. Because anybody who knows, or anybody who's been working in the rental market in the city, knows just how difficult it is to actually even get a property for rent. And you should check out the most recent vacancy rates. I mean, why would you leave a home empty anyways when you could be collecting rent? Because again, people in Toronto and the GTA, they actually want to live here. It's not like Vancouver where you can purchase a property and just leave it empty because you're going to come back to it twice every year. And for the true foreign buyers who really don't like the tax, they can always buy somewhere else. They can buy in another province. They can go to Montreal, Vancouver, PEI, or they can even go to Winnipeg or Alberta, where those taxes still haven't been applied. But my gut feeling says that people still like Toronto. It's still affordable, and we all know it's growing up into a very beautiful world-class city. The overall sentiment is still very bullish here. and is very affordable compared to places like Beijing or Hong Kong, where it's more expensive and you may not be able to get a mortgage for it. What a great place to be, huh? And you sort of have to think like a foreign buyer and investor. If they're really motivated and desperate to get their money out of an unsafe country such as China, paying the 15% tax really isn't a big deal because they're not depending on the property to feed their families. Believe me, they got a lot more than that. So it's a very small price to pay to live in an extremely safe and beautiful and great city like Toronto. You gotta pay tax if you're gonna live somewhere good. That's just the reality. So my general report card for the provincial changes are the provincial government. Can't even see it. So my general report card for this policy change is the provincial government, one, for making people feel like they actually have done something here, but still allowing for loopholes and reasonable grounds for people to get their tax back if they're legitimately spending money or living here. For true foreign buyers, it's probably about a 0.5, I would say, because they can still choose to buy here where the properties are still going up in value. And again, like I said before, paying a tax to live in a great place, hey, it's normal and it's expected. And for the local buyers, I really got a feel for you guys because it's probably not going to make much of a difference for you because the market's probably going to still continue at a pretty torrid pace. But hey, at least somebody's looking out for you, right? And the government is trying to look for ways to increase supply in the city, but it's still pretty unclear as to what that actually means and whether they're going to be able to do it in time to address the issues that are happening right now. So to sum up, my thoughts are it's probably not going to have a huge impact on the market, if any at all, but it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen over the next 6 to 12 months because it will truly reveal whether this tax is actually going to have an impact or not, and it might isolate one of the problems that a lot of people suspect is causing the market to be a frenzy. And then we will know the truth, whether it's actually interest rates, low supply, overly strong demand, or still foreign investors buying in Toronto as they try to slow down the booming and heated frenzy, the hottest real estate market in North America right now. Now, you certainly don't have to agree with me. Everyone's got their own opinion and their own investment hypotheses, but I hope this gives you some guidance and clarity on how I'm going to be advising my clients for the rest of the year in 2017. So if you're hot to trot, whether you're a buyer or a seller, please be sure to give me a call. I'd really like to help you out. And if you've got an extra second, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Here's my contact information. We'll talk to you soon. And bye for now.